RT is sitting down with Gerald Celente, the founder and director of the Trends Research Institute and publisher of the Trends Journal. Sir, thank you very much for sitting down with us today.
My pleasure.
September marks a year since a financial and economic meltdown shook America. Since then, the country has basically been edging on free fall. Let's sum up the year. What were the highlights? What were the worst and scariest days for America?
In our Trends Journal, for everyone to see, actually it's on our website, we have posted the top trends for 2008. And we predicted an economic 9/11. We were a couple of days off. And the big crash began to happen in September when AIG, when Lehman Brothers, when Merrill Lynch started going belly up. And of course, before that, with the unwinding of Freddie and Fannie, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, the mortgage companies. Unprecedented in American history, where the federal government steps in to bail these people out, always under the guise that if they fail, the world economy will collapse, the credit markets will seize up, and life as we know it will never exist again. Now here we are, 1 year later in September of 2009, and they're talking about the possibilities of a recovery. There's no recovery.
My next question is about that. It seems like some are already beginning to cheer for a happy ending. Is it way too soon?
Well, it is. Go back again after they started pumping the money in early 2009. They said, by the spring we'll see green shoots. What green shoots? Look at unemployment numbers. We have unemployment at 26-year highs. We have teenage unemployment at all-time records since they've been taking records. It's not a recovery. It's a cover-up. They're papering over the damage with paper money. There is no recovery. It's a cover-up. So let's look over the facts. All of the stimulus program at best created 150,000 to 200,000 jobs. They're saying that the stimulus program is now working. Well, what's going to happen when the stimulus runs out? When you can't use this paper money to create any more jobs? This is the likes of which no one has ever seen before. There will not be a recovery. We're going into the greatest depression. People better grow up about it. The jobs that have been lost forever.
What should the common American do? What can the common American expect for the next couple of years if you are saying things are as bad?
What the common American has to understand is that their standard of living is going to continue to decline. It's on a downward spiral. Look where the United States ranks in poverty. Look how low they rank in education. Look how low they rank in quality of life. At one time, America was #1 in all of those fields. And now we no longer win, place, or show.
Do you think the United States is going to learn anything from this experience? Will it transform into something else and better?
We're in the midst right now of the second American Revolution. We're going to have to see how it plays out. We're in the early stages of a revolution. We could go into a revolution or we could go into a renaissance. Both opportunities are there. The direction we see it going in the short term is revolution. From the revolution, however, we can go back. A renaissance is a rebirth if we go back to the formula that worked the best in America. Main Street, not Wall Street. America went from the country that prided itself in quality #1 to bottom line. How can we make the most money, build it the cheapest, build it the biggest?
Let me follow up on your point about a revolution. For there to be a revolution, the majority of Americans, it seems, needs to get really fed up. Meanwhile, however, we're seeing that many Americans are still very much enticed with their president. What's your take on this?
America's a first, second, and third world country. Revolutions don't happen from the people that are going to be watching American Idol or waste their time away playing video games and their minds lost in celebrity culture, pop culture. It's going to come from a different area. You have people from both ends of the spectrum. on the far right and the far left becoming anti-Obama. On the far right, you know, it's the gun-toting America firsters, and there's racism involved in it too. Let's not be blind to that. That's on one aspect. On the left, you have the core that Obama brought in that are now pulling away from him. And these are the people that were against more troops in Afghanistan, against strikes into Pakistan, into other sovereign countries. These were the people that wanted to see the military shrink, not grow by 4%. So he's losing his core base on the left. So the revolution in many different areas, because Obama's backtracking on a lot of core issues that were very important to the left. So he's losing the left and he's lost the right. He never had it to begin with. So the revolution is now being fought by a number of different factions within both the Republican and Democratic Party. And that's what's going to make this revolution happen.
Do you predict a second term for Barack Obama?
It's too early to tell now. As I was mentioning earlier about President Bush being down in the polls 50% in September of 2001. And then all of a sudden 9/11 happened, and the people rallied behind him. So from a president that people looked upon as someone incompetent, he became a president that led the country into 2 wars, by the way, for fake reasons. So you can't tell whether it's a terrorist attack, whether it's an act of nature or an act of man. You don't know what will happen by 2012. However, the way the trends are going now, and I want to make that clear, the way they're going now, and nobody can predict the future, there are too many wild cards thrown on the deck. President Obama will be not only a one-term president, but we'll also see the emergence of a third party, because many Americans, the independents, which account for more than the party members from either the Republicans and the Democrats, want a third way. So we may see a new third party emerge by 2012, which we're calling progressive libertarian. So that's what we see more than a question of Obama versus the Republicans, because who are the Republicans they're going to put up? Another nobody that no one wants. America is a country where people vote for a lesser of two evils. It's a two-headed, one-party system.
There's been talk lately about the possibility of another stimulus package. Is it possible that the U.S. government will eventually just run out of money and won't be able to keep printing it?
Current events form future trends. Look where the dollar's going, and look where gold is going. The more they talk about stimulus, the cheaper the dollar becomes, and the higher prices of gold go. We have people in power that if our forecasts were as wrong as theirs, we would have been laughed out of business 30 years ago when we began. Why would people believe Ben Bernanke? Why would they believe President Obama? Why would they believe Larry Summers or Timothy Geithner? When Timothy Geithner, for example, in 2007, when the market started to unravel in August, when the credit crisis first hit, he said everything was covered, no need to worry. Plans were in place, and the financial sector was sound. One after another, their forecasts have been wrong, and they're wrong about the recovery. There is no recovery. It's a cover-up, and the cover-up is cheap money, and a stimulus package, a second one, will just be more cover-up. They're putting the burden on the taxpayer to cover up what has been done by the financial sector.
What is the best piece of advice you could give Barack Obama?
Let the too big to fails fail. This is America. You're taught to rise and fail on your own merits. There's nothing there that would have said that if General Motors failed, that if Bear Stearns failed, if Merrill Lynch failed, The economy, the sun would still rise, the crops would still grow. It's just the big guys would lose money. That's all it is. Look at the facts. We bailed out the banks. What's the average salary of the banks and the financial institutions that we've bailed out of, the presidents of those banks? $14 million. Who makes this kind of money per year? They're not too big to fail. You know, I'm of Italian descent. And all my life I've heard mafia stories. I never want to hear another one. Because if the names on Wall Street were named Celente, Caruso, Mondavi, Puccini, Rossini, Buitoni, Abatelli, Puccio, they'd call it the mafia. But you're not allowed to call the white shoe boys crooks and criminals. Oh no, they don't do loan sharking or Ponzi schemes. They don't do pyramid scams. They have different names for them. How about credit default swaps? Hey, you want to try your luck at an auction rate security? I have a better one for you. How about a credit default swap? They make up names for games that are criminal games that have bankrupted this country.
Gerald Celente, thank you very much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you.